Hello my loves, welcome back to my channel. If you are returning, hello, I am so happy to see you here. If you are new, welcome to the community. Please like and subscribe, and if you are new or old, drop me a comment if you want to let me know how it went for you, or if you have any questions, any ideas, anything at all. I love reading them. Just pop them in the box below. Today, I want to talk about something that has been an incredible learning on my part. So naturally, growing up, I was very constricted, very shy, and so I had a lot of controlling behaviors. Not usually on other people, but in my life, I was just so tight and fearful that I couldn't trust anything to happen naturally. I had to close off a lot. And so over the past 15 months, maybe 2 years, I've really been learning to let go to a very, very deep degree, to really surrender and just let things unfold, learn to put myself out there. And you may have seen my previous video where I have been dating a little bit more recently, and that has brought up so many limiting beliefs, fears, insecurities, because now I'm involving someone else, and that's something I never wanted to do before. It's always been, if I keep to myself, yeah, I have some controlling behaviors that fall back on me, but at least I'm not hurting anyone else. So dating's been a very big learning curve for me, and boundaries as well have been huge. And I want to share that. So 2 days ago, no, let's start 4 days ago, I was chatting to one of the people that I am talking to in dating, and we had a phone call. I think maybe it was our second phone call. They're quite light. We get on. He seems really, really nice, and so we were intending to meet. And we got off the phone call, and he lives about an hour away from me, and we had loosely said, okay, yeah, let's meet on Friday. I'm free. And the next day, so he's a doctor, and at the moment he's working 13-hour shifts. So it wasn't until the very end of the day before that we were meant to meet, that he messaged me and said, does this time work for you? And I was like, can we make it this time? But essentially, yes. And that for me used to be an agreement of, okay, now we're meeting. I have closed off my day. That is what I'm doing. That's all locked in. And then I kind of had in the back of my mind that we hadn't sorted a location, and I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to prompt anything. Ball's in his court. I'm learning to surrender, not control everything. He'll come back with a location. And it gets to the next day, the Friday that we're meant to meet, and I know that he's off work, so I know that he's not on shift. And I didn't hear anything from him in the morning, and I start getting this real clear burning desire. I'm a woman of faith, so from God or divine or source, whatever you want to call your belief, I start getting this feeling like I really want to go to Selfridges in London. And it's something that I toyed with doing over the weekend a couple days before, but I was thinking maybe I'll go on the Saturday or Sunday, but then it's going to be really touristy. And again, I was like, you know what, it'll figure itself out. But I wake up on the Friday morning and I'm like, I'm getting the feeling I don't want to do my circuits class, which I always do without fail, even if I don't feel like it. But this time I was like, there's something deeper kind of going, don't do the circuits, and I do want to go to Selfridges. And I start arguing with myself because I'm like, Talia, you made an agreement, you are going to go see this guy, so go see him. And then I start worrying, like, you're just trying to self-sabotage because you're doing dating a bit differently, a bit more vulnerably this time. You know, you're just kind of getting all these old behaviors back in. And again, I'm like, okay, it's early in the morning, I'm gonna leave it. And I thought maybe by late morning I would have heard from him about a location, and I still wasn't very happy that I hadn't heard about a location, because it said yes, but it makes me feel a bit on edge not knowing where I'm going. And I also, because we live a bit further apart, I didn't know whether he was even able to come towards me, whether he registered that. It wasn't really clear when we were on the phone. And so, yeah, I'm kind of midday and we're meant to meet in a few hours. I'm like, I still don't know if he's expecting me to go towards him, which I'm not really too comfortable with. I know you guys might dispute that. I have my other reasons, but I was like, I don't really want to fully do that. But if I were, then, you know, from his point of view, he'd have to know that I'd have to travel further, or vice versa. If he's coming to me, he has to travel further. I just had no clue what was going on. And it was getting to the point where my brother was traveling towards in the direction of London anyway. And I was kind of getting a bit more annoyed, more at myself, not, I wasn't putting it on him, but that I allow myself in the situations of half committing to something, not fully. So it's not a concrete plan, but now I'm in this wish-washy, I've half got plans, I've half not, I've kind of scrubbed off my weekend. And I used to do this to a bigger degree. So say, someone would mention, oh, it would be cool to do something next week. And then I'd kind of block off my weekend in case I might do something with them. Then I'd wait. And then I'd kind of be in this, oh, well, I can't plan anything else because I might be seeing them. And I've already kind of said that I would. But now it wasn't really concrete and I haven't heard from them and I'm not really sure that they're into it anymore. And never really knew. I kept putting myself in these scenarios where basically I was waiting on other people, and I knew it was a pattern that I kept seeing in other areas of my life. And so this was just a really clear way, because I'm looking at dating very closely right now, for a good reflection of a boundary that I'm not putting in, you know, whether it's saying up front that I need something organized or just letting things figure out. But this time I was like, okay, I'm past the point of saying something up front, but also I want to get used to just letting things happen naturally, especially with guys, because before, and the advice I get from other people would be, just message him and say that you want a location. No. Past 15 months, this has all been about surrender, letting things happen naturally, and the quieter, more, the wisdom part of me was like, don't do that. I know that that's textbook, consider it, that's what you should do, that's what you used to do, that's what everyone would advise you to do, it's easy to do, you want to do it, but something was, don't do it, because a learning's going to come from this. Like, this, it's going to hurt a little bit now as you feel like you've overcrossed and stepped on a boundary maybe, but don't do it. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to play it out, and it's getting closer to the time that I need to leave if I am going to go to London to go. And I was like, I'm going. I don't want to half wait for people, and I am making a new standard for myself where I need a time and a location, and I need to fully commit to feel committed, to actually say, yes, we are doing this. This is now my new standard. And now I know this, I can go forward with other people and kind of say, yeah, it sounds like a nice idea if they try and half organize something, and let them know that I need something concrete if it's going to be concrete, if you're expecting me to show up. And I did something which I don't usually do, is consult my family as well. And I was like, to my dad and to my brother, what do you think? And we're chatting about it. And from my dad's perspective, he was like, if someone is interested in you, they will organize a time and a place. And he was also like, I do get though that some guys will organize a time, especially if it's the day before, just to kind of lock in, you've made a plan. And as I was chatting, I was just getting this sense of, I'm not happy that there's not a location. I'm not happy that he's not said even what area we're meeting in, like not even like a specific pub or park or restaurant or anything like that. So yeah, I start getting stronger and stronger in this feeling of, Talia, do what you're being kind of called to do what you need to do. So I get in the car, I'm on my way to London with my brother, and about 2 hours before we're meant to meet, I get a text message from the guy that I'm meant to be seeing, and he's like, hey, I am on the bus, I'm just about to get the train to see you, I'm looking forward to it. And I'm like, oh no, okay, this is where the learning comes in. This is where I back my boundary. And so I send a message saying that I hadn't heard from you about a location. I think I said, I acknowledged that we agreed a time, but I hadn't heard a location from you and hadn't heard anything from you from the morning. And usually I do from other people. I didn't say that bit, but usually do. So I felt kind of a little bit deserted, and I haven't met him yet, so I didn't know whether he was someone who would flake, or I know he's been really exhausted because he's been working back to back like daily 13-hour shifts, and it's very taxing. And so I didn't know whether, I definitely believe he had good intentions, but I just didn't know whether maybe sometimes he drops the ball a bit, says, yeah, I'll do something, and then, oh, I forgot. And I wanted to just observe. I wanted to observe like what this guy is, rather than trying to control the situation and control meeting. I wanted to see what he does and how he handles it, so that I can see the full person and stop making excuses and just basically get better at dating. So yeah, he sends me this message, and I feel really awkward like putting this message back, but also at the same time very strong and like, no, I know why I'm doing this. I know other people, you know, there are parts of other people, like even in my dad and my brother, that are a bit like, oh, you know, you could get away with it. But I get this feeling of, no, I'm not standing for it. I'm creating a new standard in my life, and this is the example I'm going to take. I'm not hurting him. I am not pushing him, and I am not blaming him. It's just he hasn't sent a location. I don't know what's going on. And so I'm following the natural consequences of things. And so he then, yeah, so I say, I'm actually on my way to, like, I'm not available anymore, basically. I didn't want to over-explain. I just wanted to say that I hadn't heard about a location from you. I didn't know if we were meeting, so I'm no longer available. He immediately calls me. I have to take a breather before picking up the phone. It's like, okay, Talia, you got this. Like, stand strong. Don't fall back into your old ways, and you haven't done anything wrong. You've just let things play out by his lead, which is what I'm practicing and surrendering to. And that's how it's been so far as well. So it's not as if suddenly I've changed the way I've approached things. He's very much led things this far, so it's not, I'm not switching up. And he calls me and he's kind of like, what's going on? You know, we organized a time and I'm on my way to you. We said about meeting here. And I said, yeah, we definitely agreed a time, and that isn't out of my mind, but you didn't say a location. I hadn't heard from you until now, which is about an hour and a half before we were meant to meet. And so I'm on my way somewhere else now, and I'm too far. Like, I'm not coming back. Like, I'm not turning back, basically. And I had no clue how this was gonna go. As I said, we don't really know each other too well, and a part of me, I really wouldn't have blamed him had he turned back and gone, like, you're untrustworthy, la 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 la. I mean, I was in such a place where I know that it's not coming from a place of untrustworthiness. I didn't try and back out. I was genuinely looking forward to him. I just didn't want to hold that energy of I'm waiting on someone else, especially when I don't even know them and they could flake on me last minute. And so I didn't hold any animosity towards him, and in his grace as well, he didn't either. And he was saying, like, it's not, I'm really sorry that it happened this way. No one's to blame. I'm just a bit disappointed that we didn't get to see each other, kind of thing. And he was apologizing. And well, at first he was kind of saying, no, we set a time and we set a date. I have it in my head. And I was like, we did say a time, but you did not message me, or you did not tell me, or we did not even talk about any kind of location. He just asked me whereabouts I lived. We talked about where he lived. And there was no like, oh, maybe I'll come to you. You're good to meet in the middle. Like, there was none of that. So yeah, I stood strong, and I reiterated, yes, we definitely made a time. I am looking forward to seeing you. I would like to see you some other time. It's just you didn't send a location. And I think he realized, because I stood strong in my truth, not pushing anything on him, just saying my understanding, my reality. And he was kind of like, I think he was in this half of like, I've just started traveling towards you and this isn't happening. Like, where did it break down? But we left it on good terms, and yeah, he wasn't blaming me. I wasn't blaming him. It was just literally this is how it's unfolded. It's not ideal for either of us, but this is how it's gone. And then he messaged me afterwards again. I was like, I'm really sorry. I realize now, or, you know, I don't want to make excuses, but I've been really exhausted, and actually maybe we didn't say a location. And I know he didn't, because as soon as, it's kind of like it's a hook in my head. We say a time, we say a location. If I make a commitment, I'm showing up. Like if all the details are there, we've agreed, I'm showing up. So I know it would have been in my head had we said something. So I was very vigilant in, I like to make a good first impression. So that taught me something as well about a lot of people have forgiveness and grace when you stand your boundaries, because it wasn't about me putting horrible expectations or saying you're bad at this, do this for me. It was just I'd love to meet you, I'm trusting your lead, and your lead just didn't take us all the way there, and I'm not holding it against you. I'm not saying I don't want to see you anymore, but he then learned himself that I need to make sure I organize these 2 points for definite, otherwise this woman's not showing up. And I learned to stand my ground, stand my boundaries, and to not push things, not to step in and not to fix things. And so I knew the value of, I mean, it was scary while I was doing it, and I was really conscious to not tread over myself, to stand in my truth. And it's easy for me not to blame other people, but it's not easy for me to, usually I might collapse and go, oh, maybe I'm in the wrong. So that was where I had to balance it. I was like, I'm not in the wrong, he's not in the wrong either. It's just, this didn't end up happening like we thought we would, and that's okay. That's okay. And we learned something about each other in the process. If he then decided that I'm not for him because I work this way, that is fine. And I now strengthen the way that I'm working in future, and I know that this is where I stand and I can better communicate this to future dates and partners. And actually this felt really good. I felt good and strong in myself, so now I can watch for it in other areas of my life and bring it into other areas of my life too. So many learnings even at that point. And to stand your ground while chatting on the phone as well, that's much easier on text. It went really well. But the interesting thing for me was I got rewarded almost immediately. Like, as I say, I had this other thing going on at the same time where I'm getting led to go to Selfridges. And I've been once before, I've been to a few luxury stores last year, and it brings out the better side of me going to these places. I've never been into luxury or high-end things before. I've never even let myself consider it, and I'm definitely not locked into a lot of fashion and brands. But if I like something and it makes me feel good, then I like it. That's what I'm drawn to. I'm drawn to my own experience. I'm not drawn to the status symbols, but I was just getting this feeling of go to Selfridges. So I'm on my way there and I'm walking around and got a dress on, some nice earrings, I've got some lipstick on, and I'm kind of, as I say, it brings out the better side of me. So I'm feeling really just enjoying being in a different place, you know, in the city, in Selfridges. I'm not used to being around all these gorgeous things, around more personable sales reps. And I get, in most of the stores that I walk into, I definitely get a lot of warmth from the people working there. Most people complimented me, my lipstick, my dress in some way, shape or form. They kind of wanted to let me know that they thought I looked good. I had 2 people tell me that I looked like a supermodel, and I walked into, so you know how you go into different stores, especially surprising this in luxury as well, but you go into different stores and there's a different feel. You're kind of drawn to some more than others, and sales reps are more open in some than others. But one store that I was really drawn to last time and really drawn to again this time, and I don't know why, I actually hadn't heard of this brand, and you guys are going to think I'm crazy. As I say, I'm not into celebrities and brands and stuff generally, but I hadn't heard of Bulgari before. And I walk in and I remember the first time I went there, it was just a really nice experience. I had the same thing last time I went in Cartier. I had a nice experience there, but when I went this time, it definitely wasn't a bad experience. It wasn't as, I think the guy I met in Cartier last time was a lot more personable. This time, he wasn't there. The sales reps were more just, I'll show you, I'll answer your questions, I'll let you just shop. But yeah, I went into, that wasn't the case in Bulgari. I found that everyone was really welcoming and warm, and also really complimentary. And this time I went in again and it was exactly the same vibe and then more. So there was this other sales rep there and he kind of immediately said hi. And I was like, oh, can I try on this piece, please? And he's like, yeah, would you like to take a seat? So we take a seat. And he's like, would you like to try, like, I'll bring out one or two other similar pieces in case, you know, slightly different color and also the earrings. And so we're sat down together and they do the usual, like offering water and chocolate. And we just things start to escalate. So he starts telling me about a couple of the pieces. I think I may even have asked, like, what's the story behind this? And I'd researched a bit because I was looking at bags online and I saw that Bulgari use malachite and black onyx, and I love my crystals, so I really liked that the brand used this as well. And so we're kind of chatting a little bit about the brand and the pieces, and we get a good vibe. And he then was like, okay, well, I really want to show you the higher end pieces because we're trying on a few pieces, the ones that I asked for, but then also he's bringing out a couple more, like, oh, you might like these other kind of bestseller things. He's like, try this one and this one. And then he's like, you look like a model, like you should, like you look like a supermodel. Do you model? Have you considered it? And I'm just like, especially with all the expensive jewelry on and trying things that I love, I'm feeling like really good, and I'm pouring that back into him. He's pouring it back into me. We're just having like a really good time. And so yeah, things start to escalate. He starts to bring out the higher end jewelry, and it's so gorgeous. And I'm again just getting these feelings of like, I love being here. I love these kinds of things and being told about the stories behind, and actually a lot of the collections and the brand, what he was telling me about Bulgari, I was really interested in as well. So I was asking more questions and he really liked that as well. And yeah, things start to escalate. We're getting on really well. And he's like, okay, I really want you to try stuff on, because at this point he's getting like just as much satisfaction from dressing me in all these jewelry pieces, because he's like, it's just fun to see someone wear it nicely. Like he basically using me as a model, like basically playing dress up. And he's like, I really want to show you this piece, you're gonna love it. And as he walks away, he turns back around and he says, you're about to wear an apartment. And I'm like, oh, he's gonna bring out something really chunky, isn't he? And then I thought, you know what, Talia, you are looking for something a bit chunkier anyway, like go with it, this is all fun. And he comes back and he's like, you are gonna love this. And he puts the stuff on the table and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is absolutely gorgeous. And so it's from the Serpenti collection that they have, excuse me. And he puts this necklace on and it is drop dead gorgeous. And he starts talking about the way it's made, and I can see what he's talking about, like the different movement that they design it with little bits of movement in some of their collections, like flower petals, for example, will move slightly. And so like the snake skin was kind of moving around my collarbones really nicely. And he's like, this is like something you'll see on the red carpet. This is like $500,000. And he tries this other piece and it's like even puts this other piece on me and it's even more, and he gets the torch and all the diamonds are like shining off it, and I feel like an absolute queen. And we just get on so well, and he's like, you've made my day, I've had so much fun, like it's really nice to see this on someone and like see it on someone who can like wear it, who's like gorgeous. And he's like, come back for champagne anytime, like honestly, please come back. And yeah, we just had such a good time, and it meant so much to me, not because it's brands and status symbols, but because we were just flowing off each other. And it's new for me to accept that I do like finer things. I always have, but I never felt like I could acknowledge it because you know, people, I felt like it would make me fake or shallow or I wasn't a good person. So to own that these places and these experiences do make me feel good and they bring out a good side in me, then to have someone else not only like feed me, because sales reps and stuff will compliment you anyway and just it helps the experience and the purchasing, but he was like personally invested. He was having fun, like he was really into fashion and stuff anyway. Loved the way that I was looking and was dressed, and I was asking him like, which do you prefer out of these, and like he was saying some of his opinions, and like we were just having so much fun, and I absolutely loved that whole experience. The other sales rep as well, actually two of them like came over as the original sales rep was going to find a new other pieces, and they were just chatting as well, and so everyone was so friendly, and the store just has for me like an intimate feeling to it, and I absolutely love that. Maybe because it's more of an, at least my impression is it's more niche, and especially with their bolder collections, probably not for everyone, but that's kind of where I lean. I like things that are classic and simple but with a bit of a twist, a bit bold. But yeah, we build a really good relationship and having so much fun, and I can tell it's both ways as well. With it was really valuable for me to see someone feed into me instead, because before I'd have this thing of, if I feel good, then I have to like take something from myself and give it back to them. Like if they throw me a compliment, I have to compliment them back. It was really hard for me to just receive what they were offering. But I was completely on it this time, and I was like, no, Talia, you don't have to throw it back, just soak everything in. And it was a really good learning point to see that he was receiving from his giving to me. So me receiving was the gift, and that was a really important learning for me. It was kind of like, wow, so actually me just being in my pleasure, me saying, voicing, and just letting it show the things that I love, and not hiding the fact that I love being in these kinds of environments and treated well and adorned and complimented and fed into in terms of listening about the stories and the brand. Like he was getting stuff back from that, and he was saying that, yeah, you made my day. It's really refreshing to speak to someone who wants to hear about the brand and the collections too. And so it was giving him an opportunity to talk about it. And I never thought about it in that way. I kind of always thought someone's giving me a compliment and they're just saying it to me so that they can get something back, and like not in a horrible way, but just in a, okay, now I have to take something from me to give it back to them. But it was so important for me to learn that simply my energy, simply just being in that pleasure state was enough for him. He was getting loads from it. And yeah, obviously because we escalated to him wanting me to show like red carpet pieces, and I love that. It made me feel so special and precious, and like you could see the security guard was hovering right by, and the sales rep was like, don't worry, I'm putting it back. But it was so special to me, and it helped me see myself in a different light as well, especially the whole day, kind of having some sales reps kind of follow me around the store because you could tell they were drawn to me, and then others just compliment me, both men and women. Another sales rep saying, oh, you look like you've got the vibe of the supermodel on, like if you turn left, go down there, like you look like the model on there, of the brand. And like just having all of this, allowing myself to feel it, allowing myself to experience it. And I wouldn't have even gone, and I wouldn't have had the same experience had I not had that go with the flow moment with the guy that I was going to go on a date with before, because that locked in a new sense of, no, I'm not waiting. I'm not hiding this part of me. And so I think I went into Selfridges with more of this, I own what I like. I own what I've done. I've owned my actions, and actually seeing the fallout of the guy that I dated, the guy that I was meant to go on a date with, he could have been very angry and kind of attacked me. I had a bit of a similar scenario, not harshly, but the week before, where he just felt rejected, and so didn't handle it as gracefully, basically. But this time, even though I felt like this guy could have had more of a reason, he literally left to come see me, and which I was so grateful for. But just not everything was there, and him acknowledging it, not blaming me, like that means so much to me, and shows me more about, shows us both more how each other works. But I now have more appreciation for him because he can handle, because of the way he's handled this, you know? So I got to see more of him. I got to learn more about myself. He learned about how I work as well. I'll just kind of let things, because he did say like, oh, you could have dropped me a message. And I said like, I didn't want to interfere, you know? And I can't really remember what I said, but something to that ilk. And I wasn't trying to hide that was what I was trying to do. I wasn't trying to prove anything. I just had this quiet confidence of like, don't step in and don't plan your day around him. Because at the moment, I have so much free time. I could have gone to Selfridges the day after or the day before, but there was just something so clear in me that was like, go, because there is something for you. And it's so true. I just had such a good experience, and I kind of felt like that was an immediate confirmation of, Talia, you did the right thing. And see what happens when you protect your energy, when you let things happen naturally. You stop trying to control everything and stop trying to bring everything in and stop trying to fix everything, stop trying to tread over guys' toes, and great things happen, and like people feed into you, and I start to feel what I love to feel, like really radiant and free and open. And that in itself is a gift for other people, because they take in that energy and they love being around people like that, because some people just don't know how to create it themselves, which is fine. So that was a huge important learning for me, and just huge, something I really wanted to share, because letting things happen naturally, the old part of you, the ego part of you, and probably other people around you and the person who you're involved, they're all going to tell you, do the fix thing. But honestly, you'll get so much further when you just listen to that quiet, intuitive, often a logical side of you that's like, no, do this and do this for you, because doing it for you, you're doing it for other people as well. Or you'll go through a little bit of a bump here as you ingrain the learning, but the rest of your life is going to be so much more smooth running, because you've now ingrained this, you've now embodied it, and you're going to know this up front for the other people. So don't get in your own way. Listen to that quiet confidence. Let things play out. Don't control things as much. Go for your desires, what feels good, and don't worry too much about the fallout. You will figure out the fallout as it happens. And that's also the other thing of just letting things play out moment by moment, because I tried to plan everything up front, get the best outcome that I can, like make sure I've thought about everyone else, and then I'll track it back, and then I'll very strictly, rigidly stick to that. But I had a lot of health issues, and a lot of other problems, and no space for relationships or other people, even family. I was so closed off, I was so tight, I was so confused, life felt dull, so many things, like my creativity started shutting off. I couldn't build a life like that. So do this in small ways, and don't worry about other people. Like that was also an important reminder for me, that other people, like, give other people credit. They can handle their own emotions too. I was trying to handle other people's emotions. Like, I don't want to hurt them. That's not a good thing. You are controlling their life now, and that's not fair. Let them react the way that they want to react. And don't cut yourself off short in the meantime either. So I hope this story helped. I was really excited to share this anyway. I think it's just so huge, so potent. If you have any other similar experiences, I love these stories, the kind of divine timing, the it's meant to be. I love these, so please drop me a comment, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you, my loves.